I mean, all I've said is, known him for ages, never actually spoken to him. It's quite a weird friendship, but he seems like a decent bloke and he's got an interesting background. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Not really sure when you listen to this one. You are listening to Brown and Marsh, and I've completely forgotten again, Chris, what episode it is. I think this is number 13.
Yeah, sounds about right, doesn't it?
All right, it's 12B.
13.
Because I'm not jinxing this one before we even started. So, how are you today, Christopher?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right. You got anything more exciting than I'm very well? Any? What's your week been like?
Oh, you always ask me this. Well, yesterday was my birthday, and I received a very nice gift from my podcast co-host. My podcast. That's what it should be called.
Is that why I am now?
Podcast co-host.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
A lovely mug that I'll be drinking out of on a regular basis. So,
and what's on that mug, Christopher?
Yeah. Well, there's some lovely images of myself and yourself, which my daughter found hilarious. But it also has a strapline: "Visibility creates opportunity." I don't know if I've ever mentioned that.
You do tend to mention it once or twice an episode, yes. But you're right, it does. And if we ever take this global, that's going to be the first thing we trademark, isn't it? Visibility creates opportunity.
Maybe I need to, unless somebody else has already trademarked it. Then we're in trouble.
We're kind of fucked it up now. Well, we've got copyright claim, I think, because we've been saying it for at least 12 weeks, if not more. So, have you got a tip this week, Christopher?
I've got a tip every week. I mean, again,
it's usually the same one regurgitated.
It's usually the same one regurgitated. It's for me. I mean, I love TLAs. I love three-letter acronyms, and we talk about visibility creates opportunity. We talk about join the dots. For me, this week is something that keeps cropping up when people are asking about going for jobs or even asking for advice when they're pitching. And I always talk about three things in particular: positivity, enthusiasm, and confidence. Now, I say if you've got those three things in abundance, you'll do all right. You'll do all right. Being positive. Don't let those negative thoughts come in. Show that you can do that you're using, creative and just being positive. Enthusiasm. Just put your chin up, stick your chest out, sit straight. Have that sort of level of again, the sort of creates into positivity, and just confidence in your ability, confidence in your approach and how you do things. So the only caveat is to perhaps not have too much of those three things. But I think if you've got positivity, enthusiasm, and confidence in abundance, then you'll do all right.
It's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, I think, isn't it? That's a problem.
Indeed.
I'm going to take a leaf out of your book and actually regurgitate something I've said before because it was relevant this week.
Yeah.
So I was writing an email to promote a new business activity, and I'm terrible at doing my own stuff. Give me somebody else's, laughing. Me, no, not so good. And part of it is what you're just saying. It's the confidence thing of, I don't want to sound like a dick. I know I'm good at X, Y, and Z, but actually putting it in black and white just makes me sound like, yeah, whatever. So I wrote it and I sent it through to a friend of mine. And the reason why I sent it to this guy is I knew he'd be honest. If it was brilliant, he'd say so. If it was utter shite, he'd say so. And it was utter shite. And he was very polite about it, but I'd forgotten all my rules. I mean, your golden rule, visibility creates opportunity. Mine is, don't tell me what you can do, tell me what you can do for me. Which isn't quite as snappy as yours, but the idea is there. And I'd just forgotten about it. I'd just not done the selling thing to the client. And God bless him, he rewrote it. I've made some tweaks, so it sounds like it's from me. But I suppose my tip then is, when you're doing stuff for yourself, even if you have to stick bits of paper all around to remind you of your personal rules when you're doing it for other people, so what? And if you do write stuff, leave it 24 hours. Come back to it and be cynical, but also get other people's opinions. So that's more I think a tip for life in general rather than just marketing. But yeah, I think, I like to think we're life gurus, Christopher.
We are. We're giving life experience, life tips, aren't we? Here? So
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. So taking your own advice. I think that's what I got from
Yeah.
that. There, take your own advice.
Don't forget your own advice. Be
Indeed.
your own worst critic at times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to knock your own enthusiasm and confidence, but sometimes, yeah, I'm just terrible at doing my stuff. That's why I'll be sending you a copy of this email after we've done our podcast today and getting your comments on it, because I know you'll be honest as well.
Well, you're very hard on yourself, Ross. But
Oh, thanks, Chris.
yeah. We'll see if our next guest agrees with these sentiments then, because well, you know him better than I do. So, what do you think?
He seems like a decent fella, but I've known him for a couple of decades, we think. But this is actually the first time we've ever actually spoken, so it was quite weird hearing him when we said hello 10 minutes ago. But then again, he probably thought the same, going, "Oh, I forgot he was from up north. Oh, he sounds weird." So, guest, and this isn't going to get confusing at all. Mr. Guest, could you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Yes, indeed. Hello, both. Well, my name is Ross Brown. So, but I'm
no,
the
that's my
easy
name.
one. Indeed, I've got the fun Mockney accent. You two sound like very astute fellas from the north, so we'll be okay. We have actually known each other a long time, haven't we? Without actually talking to each other. I've listened to your radio podcasts back in the day, because you used to promote those a lot on Facebook. Back when we were all on that. So I have heard your voice in the past. My one's always a bit of a surprise. But...
For some reason, I thought you're from up around here as well. I don't know why.
Well, I worked for a while in Manchester on a publication site, and I think there was a lot of probably activity around then, so they do. And my dad's Scottish, so people often think when I'm about to talk with a name like Ross and a Scottish dad, I'm going to be Scottish. But no.
Tell me about it.
Budget Danny Dyer, but yeah.
Your words, not ours, Ross.
There we go. I'm terrible at selling myself. Very good at self-deprecation.
It's a Ross thing. We're obviously not good at it.
So I'll tell you about myself, and then we can talk about how we met many moons ago.
Please do.
I suppose the hat I wear these days would be I help brands publish their own content. Every brand today is doing its very best to take things in-house, where you would in the past use agencies to tell your story and your brand story. Today it's all about having a narrative. It's all about having a story. We are slowly moving away from a world of singular pictures selling content, and we're moving away largely from polished adverts. I know they're still out there, but brands, even luxury brands, with which the world in which I sort of work, can see the relevance and the movement on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, can see how people are really resonating with normal conversations, I suppose, rather than really elevated conversations and high production. And so they want to become their own publishers. Of course, they really don't have much experience with it. They've never done it before.
I love hearing this, because the secret email I was writing, based on something, it was actually Chris who prompted me, was I'm pushing into doing podcasts away from marketing, which the world and his dog does, into, I'm a marketing guy with experience in audio and podcasting and PR. Let's create media that the brand can own, the company can own. So then I'm to cut through the noise, they create an interesting narrative that people listen to. So essentially it's this is weird, because I didn't know that's what you did. But essentially, we probably should have a professional chat after this. So it's nice to hear it from somebody else. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Ross. You're mixing in more rarefied sort of circles than I am. I know some of the clients you're working with. I'm looking at good B2B companies, experts in their sector, that kind of thing, who want to talk about their subject matter, but not have to go through a gatekeeper. So yeah, sorry for that quick aside. That's got nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's all about me. But I just thought it was interesting what you're talking about. So, you do this on a freelance basis, don't you?
I do this on a freelance basis. I'm locked into lots of heavy NDAs, so I can't really talk about current clients.
Okay.
But I can. I suppose I got into it because I was doing a lot of work with Ferrari. Ferrari do their own in-house publishing. They have the official Ferrari magazine, and I was working with them, creating stories that they publish, which really talk to their own brand, talk to their heritage, talk to their innovation.
A lifestyle magazine.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And then a lot of work with Mazda, who also, that was more in the film department and taking the car, off to various parts of the world, different cars, different territories, different messaging, and driving that. From that, it kind of realized that there was a desire for brands, just through talking to people, to want to do stuff themselves. Without the understanding of audiences, without the understanding of what makes a story, what will resonate, how you amplify a story, the beginning, the middle, and the end, which, even saying it out loud now, honestly, sometimes I try and say it, and it's like, well, everyone knows what a story is, Ross. This is the most basic thing in the world.
They don't.
But,
I mean, we both come from a broadly similar journalism background. People don't always recognise a story or what they think is a story, going, really?
It's the hardest thing to sell until you say, all right, give it a go.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, well, you know what, we've got a guy here and we've got a guy here. And they put everyone in a room and they come out and they say, this hasn't quite worked as we wanted. So really that's the hats I wear at the moment. I work with.
Right, let's wind back. This is the bit might resonate with people on a less cerebral level, shall we say. And you kind of know where I'm going with this one, I imagine. So you obviously didn't start at this height, of what I think you're just a couple of years younger than me. 52?
52.
Yeah. So I'm old Ross, you're young Ross. I'm 54. Yeah. Bollocks. Never mind. So go back, not quite to, when you were mini Danny Dyer, but so left school, was uni involved, first job, those kind of things?
Well, the mists of time here, Ross, but I'll give it my best to get back.
Cheers,
there.
pal. I appreciate it.
So, yes, I graduated, God knows when, 93, I suppose. And I went traveling, as I think everyone did. It's quite hard to explain the world before the internet, but you bought your Lonely Planet.
You had to visit places to see them.
You had to actually go and see what it was like. And you weren't depressed because the Instagram picture was far better than what you saw. It was just all amazing. Anyway, long story short, I went traveling. I came back. I did some more work. I went traveling again. And then after a couple of years, I thought I really should probably put this degree to some use.
Degree in
media studies and English literature, as it was back then. So
where did you go?
I went to what is now called the University of West London.
Oh.
It was Thames Valley University. It's a good uni that no one's ever heard of.
I'll tell you what, never heard of it.
But yeah, so suddenly I found myself, I'd been traveling for so long and having so much fun, couple of years. And then I thought I'd better find a job. And I was suddenly up against all the people who just graduated. So I was suddenly an old man at sort of the age of 25, going for jobs against 21-year-olds sort of coming out of university. So I started this just sort of carpet campaign of applying anywhere and everywhere. So I was just trying to do everything. I wrote a story to FHM magazine, to the editor. I wrote, they did lots of readers stuff, and as well as all of this, I used to stick on my wall all the rejection letters, and I was pretty much wallpapering my whole room. And
I used to wallpaper my walls with FHM magazine. So
there you are.
All the connections. Who was editor at the time?
A man called Ed Needham, tremendous man. So
Yes.
Ed Needham's the editor. Wrote him a story. Oh, it was of me traveling in Australia, and it was quite funny because it was my actual birthday, and I was 25, and my best mate took me to the pub. And we spent an afternoon at the pub, and I came back, and our flatmate had written on the ironing board, KLM, called. They'd like you to call them on Monday about a job. So I was like, I've got a job at an airline. This is fantastic. So we went to the pub again.
A job at an airline or in
I was just
pop
applying to
band,
everywhere.
perhaps. Oh, no, it's KLF. Yes.
Okay, just about an agent.
Yes.
And then we were halfway through another pint, and I said, "Hang on, I didn't apply to KLM." So back we went to the house. She said, "Oh no, it must have been FHM." So it was
A TLA.
exactly. So the long story short was they did a work experience program, which I don't even know you get away with these days, but it was you went in and worked for free for 2 weeks, and I was so I went in and did 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks they said, "Ross, you want to stay on for a little bit longer?" And so those 2 weeks became 4 weeks, and then I joined the picture department. They started paying me some money, which was just as well because I'd used up all my holiday from where I was working at Selfridges, and I never left. So I joined as the workie, and 6 years after that, I became editor-in-chief of the biggest men's mag around the world. To be honest, I think there was 26 editions worldwide. And the UK version was very much the mothership. So that was my journey there.
And my brother was constantly getting his mates going, "Your brother's done well for himself, hasn't he? What are you talking about? He's a journalist, isn't he?" Yeah, he's editor of FHM. He's really not. He'd have mentioned it. He's writing about industrial flooring, mate, and HR workshops for business magazines. Are you sure? Yes, there can't be two Ross Browns. I don't think there are.
Well,
wow,
I can waffle on about myself forever, fellas. So stop me if it gets.
It's kind of the basis of the podcast, Ross.
Okay, away we go. So, from your lessons that you were talking, the one that I had when I was a young man was very much be useful. And I'm not one for really cryptic things. I'm very nuts and bolts. Be useful. And that's what I used to tell any workie that came in after me. They used to say, how are you still here? And it's like, look at what the job is, look around you, look at what people need, and make yourself useful, And that doesn't matter if you're the editor-in-chief or whether you're the work experience. You have to have a use. You're being paid to be somewhere. Be useful, be yourself, but be useful. Yeah. And you will find that you become harder and harder to ignore. So every job I had, I would look at the job above. A very simple way of doing it. And I was like, how do I get that job? What's that person doing? What do I need to do? I don't think I took a holiday for the first 2-3 years I was there. I certainly worked every weekend. Once when I was between flats, I moved into the office for a week, and everyone would leave and I'd get my dressing gown on and I slept in one of the meeting rooms. So it became kind of.
I've got visions of you firing up a Mac and Quark Express and doing layout at 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
No, we had a pool table and a beer fridge and games room.
Of course you did. It was FHM.
Wow. It was a very different world. But at one point, it was a long time ago, but I would stick my hand up for every job going. So at one point on the masthead, I'm sure I've got an old one, but I was the car motoring editor, the music editor, the film editor, the hardware editor, the junior staff writer. More importantly, I was the Lush, which was the drinks editor, and I was the freelance drinker. And readers would invite me out to their hometown, and I would go and go and explore. So
it was a shit job. Is that what you're saying, Rob?
Do you know what? I was there 10 years, so 6 working my way up, and then the rest as the editor. And it definitely was a long time to be at such a high-paced, very top of the tree kind of brand, facing a lot of competition. Up until I became editor, the internet wasn't really. It was an asset, not a challenge. It wasn't cannibalizing people. It was still very much, FHM.com was very much work break games. It was all kind of a distraction before it started to become its own, publishing cannibal. And then, of course, the weeklies came out. And then slowly FHM stopped being as relevant, funny, sexy, useful is what FHM always prides itself on. And it was the funny, sexy, very easy, but the useful was the bit that fell. And once one of the pillars goes, it's very hard to keep the house up. So towards the end, it certainly wasn't as much fun as at the beginning, but it was an incredible experience, an incredible life, and that's something I'm very proud I did. But
I bet.
But I was glad when it stopped.
Yes, I bet your liver was as well.
Were there any sort of standout issues? Any? Because I'm 46, so sort of late 90s. I was
He was reading your greatest hit press.
I was your target demographic, wasn't I? Really, in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, we had about, my brother and I had stacks of them. So, was there any sort of standout issues, or any sort of real sort of ones that stood out above the rest in terms of actual sort of monthly?
I don't know that there was a kind of a particular one. There was the Gillian Anderson issue, which sold 1 million copies on the newsstand. And that was, unprecedented, and that was a big. All of the suits you'd never seen in your life wandering in with champagne, and that was a big day.
Was it EMAP? Was it EMAP? EMAP, the publisher.
EMAP,
yeah, I thought it was. Yeah.
Before they EMAP sold it to Bauer, who then sold it on again. But so that there were issues like that did extraordinarily well, standalone issues for a lot. I think there were other. I don't know whether you call them trends, but there were big moments. I'll give you an example: the High Street Honeys, which which was born out of something as simple as when I ran the front section of the magazine, we had a section called Student of the Year, and each month a student would send in pictures saying, "I'd like to." Apply, and she'd come down and we'd do a photo shoot with her. And then at the end, we had 12 and you voted for your favourite student. Yeah. What was happening was down by my feet, I had a box and it was full of people sending in their pictures of them in basically in their undercrackers. Mm. And the box was getting more attention than anything else. And it wasn't my idea. The boss at the time, the editor, David, said, there's something in this, Mm-hmm. And so we started the High Street Honeys campaign. Funny enough, what was I talking about right at the beginning of this? I was talking about brands telling stories, less highbrow, bringing it down, making it very real and accessible. Yeah. Suddenly FHM was doing stuff that wasn't, I don't know, the A Hollywood lister. In a photo shoot. It was this whole thing, and it was huge. The High Street Honeys bus and tour and went round. So I think, Chris, in answer to your question, it wasn't specific issues, but there were moments where suddenly FHM would take a great big jump forward. Yeah. That was the way it evolved.
Yeah, I certainly remember the Gillian Anderson. It was featured on an episode of Spaced. Simon Pegg grabbed hold of it as well. So that one's the one that sticks out for me. But obviously, 90s, we talk about Euro 96 and the rise of Britpop and Labour government, and so much happened in it sort of mid to late 90s, and you were an integral part of pop culture. I would say it's around about that time.
Very much so, and although it's very interesting, FHM. I don't think ever did football. It's the
one loaded, wasn't it?
Huge thing, yeah. And it was a decision made in the early days. And certainly when I became editor, no one said you can't do football. In fact, the commercial team were trying to do it. But at that time, I don't know if it's the same today. The football team was surrounded by. They wanted so much copy approval and image approval for anything. That it just, there was no fun. It was so sanitized. You would press releases if you tried it. So we stuck with the stuff that we could kind of not control, but not have other people control. That was much more real. Yeah. So wow. So after FHM, I joined. And after FHM, after FHM was the birth of Stylist Media, as it's known now, which is Stylist Magazine and Shortlist Magazine. So I joined team that was setting up Shortlist. It was in its early days. There was about
I don't
six
think
of
it's ever
us.
got up here shortlist. I know it from having visited London, but I don't think it ever made it that far north. So
Did it
for
not?
our northern monkey listeners, could you explain
Yeah,
what shortlist
okay.
is?
For your Northern Monkeys listeners, Shortlist was designed to be the antidote to the men's market at that time, which had kind of all men's mags were pretty much the same,
Yeah.
at that point.
Or be nutsified.
Very nutsified. And it was quite aggressive, a lot of nakedness, a lot these days. I mean, you just stamp everything with the toxic stamp, but it was a very tough time, I think, for all publishers. And believe it or not, we didn't all enjoy it. It was just, that's where the market forces were going, and it was kind of right. This is what we have to do to win. What Shortlist did was kind of, their strapline was that the magazine you'd be proud to read on the tube with your dad, So, and it was based on the fact that men like to keep lists. I can't remember. Might have been High Fidelity.
High Fidelity, yeah.
There you are. And that was kind of it. So when we started, it was very much, built around the quirkiness of men.
Do you know this thing about? Have you ever read High Fidelity or seen the film? Book by Nick Hornby and John Cusack made it as a film. Moved it from London to Chicago. In both of them, the main character Rob runs a record shop and is Mr. Muso. And he's always making top 10 lists with his mates of, best first track of an album, best bassist or singer, those kind of things, real probably hardcore muso stuff. But the idea, I remember I bought the book, I read it in a day because I read it going, this is me. I mean, it's only the last couple of years I've realised, because I've got ADHD. That's why I do this all the time. But apparently, it is a thing that all blokes do. Chris is going, really? But yeah, apparently, all right, sad wanker blokes like me and my namesake do. Just not you, Christopher, because you've got all things going in your life.
I like a list.
Oh, good. I feel better now. So anyway, so Shortlist. Like I say, was it a freebie like Metro?
Shortlist was a freebie.
Thought it was.
And yeah. So, but I mean, it was, I think we're putting out 500,000 a week. So it was huge and incredibly successful. I think Shortlist still goes in Dubai, actually. I think ITP still publish a version of Shortlist.
Were you the launch editor?
I wasn't. I was deputy. A chap called Phil Hilton was the launch editor.
Oh, right.
And then kind of he stepped up to take over stylist and the phenomenon that is stylist media today. And then I became the editor, and then I became editor at large. Editor at large was a job title I'd always wanted.
It's so decadent, isn't it?
It was just fantastic. And I was, wander in and help in a meeting or go and do stuff as the brand ambassador. And it was all right for a little while. And then I needed to get my teeth back into something. And so I moved out to Dubai, and I became editor-in-chief of Time Out out there, Time Out Dubai.
Yeah, wow.
I can tell you about that. That was they had gone from a monthly magazine, which was doing well, and they'd moved it to a weekly magazine, and it was starting to die, and it just wasn't a success. I think they had a readership for the monthly, and they thought, well, if we turn that into four, we'll have 4 times the readership. And it
doesn't work like that, lads. You've obviously moving at this point more from journalism in almost to management and marketing and branding. Was that conscious, or was it something you had to do to go up the ladder?
I think there's a natural progression. You start as it's a tried and tested way. It's not for everyone, but you start as a writer, and then as a writer you become section editor, and you take over a little bit more responsibility in budgets and flat planning. Section editor, you kind of step up into editorship, and then a lot of people stay put and will be the same place. But for me, don't sit still. Keep moving. I'd stayed not too long, but I just felt 10 years at FHM wasn't something I wanted to do again any other place. And so, I always feel go learn, just not outstay your welcome, but make sure you're always improving yourself.
Go out on top and find a challenge.
the timeout job was a big job. You know, they had a very good, eager, slightly inexperienced team, because by the very nature in the Middle East, people are coming and going. Yeah. It's very different now. This is 2010. It was quite transient, you know. And in the UK, content is king. In the Middle East, commercial is king. You know, content's there to help it, and I had to kind of help them with that. But we did a good job there. We tripled sales in 12 months, which was fantastic. And we did that by relying less on the global brand, but less on Time Out Dubai, London. You know, the big, let's make this for local people. Let's make this about Dubai. Let's talk less about Take That, because they were taking in interviews. Let's talk more about secret beaches, or, you know, where's the restaurants that the best chefs go to after they finished in a 5-star hotel, so you can eat as well as them on budgets, that kind of stuff.
The stuff that's relevant to Dubai, because strange enough, that's what the readers are expecting.
Exactly that. And I think when it was a monthly, it made sense having a big Take That. I used the Take That because that was the big thing when I arrived there. And they were very proud of it. And I was like, it's absolutely pointless. They don't even mention Dubai. This is just a story about Take That.
Are they touring in Dubai?
No, they weren't.
Did Marco in once go on holiday to Dubai?
No. Exactly. So I said, enough of this. Let's make it topical, relevant, you know. And that gave me... That was a phenomenal experience because of my team, I think. Until it's when you work in the UK, it's a very... media, especially mainstream and big brands, is quite elite. It's like Premiership.
Yeah.
You know, it really is at a level which comes with... It's kind of got quite a niceness about it because everyone knows their role, where to play. You know, it's like if it's a football team, you don't have to go and tell a goalie how to do his job. It's more how you play within a team.
Yeah, just so you know, he's a United fan. Just
so you guys know, I don't support football.
I didn't think you were a football person. No.
So
you're a rugby guy, aren't you?
I was going to say, naturally you'll be going, are you into rugby? Because it's impossible for men in Britain to think of another man not liking sport.
Oh no, I think you're a Union guy, aren't you?
I do watch Union, but I don't have a team.
So it's not proper rugby then. It's rugby.
Not proper rugby. Your net's going to go. Is it golf? Is it, you know, everyone goes down the pecking order.
Yes. Is it cricket?
I've had taxi drivers you can see steam coming out of their ears as they're trying to guess what it could be.
Did you see the game last night? Yeah. No, mate, I don't watch football.
Oh, I always say yes. Just
it's a cracking game.
The timeout kind of taught me to one of the other things, which is be present, and that's be useful, be yourself, which I'll talk about, and be present, which is... you have to be available for everyone, and the skills that you need to impart on other people as well as learning yourself. But you can't be a closed shop. This is what I want, make it done. It's like, we're all in it. Let's work together. Let's work as a team. And that for me was a great steep learning curve, because it wasn't a world I come from the UK, where it was very much, you know.
Were you essentially having to impose UK standards and UK practices on a workforce that was quite disparate from different geographies? So
very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
I'm the boss. This is the way we're doing it. I know it works.
But in a Dubai way. Yeah. So just saying, I'm from the UK. Everything we do in the UK is great. I know it works. I've worked at the highest level. Do what I say would have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, sitting down with people and going, here's the new vision. Here's your section. Here's the role you've got. Here's how, if you do this, this, and this, you will help the whole team make something we'll all be incredibly proud of. Was a far better way of doing things. It's something I learned a lot at the time. It's how I work now. And it wasn't necessarily how I worked when I went there. I think you said right at the beginning, arrogance over confidence, you know, more confidence than arrogance. I've probably had a good swathe of arrogance when I went to the Middle East. And I probably came away with a far more in the confident, you know, more rounded.
It felt more, I think it's when the arrogance outweighs the confidence, it's nerves. it's being unsure of yourself. It's almost like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
If I'm enough of a dick, people will believe I know what I'm talking about. So do you
Yeah.
think you went from that to the actually I do actually know what I'm talking about?
No, I get your theory, but no,
All
I
right.
think that arrogance, success can breed it.
Yeah.
If what everything you've done, has worked, you can become a right pain in the bum. You really can. And I just knew that I hadn't had massive failure. It all worked, and I've been surrounded by the very best, and they're giving me the very best information. And it just kind of. I don't know, it was a nightmare, but there was a definite streak of arrogance, and you have to show people what you know. You can't just tell them you know it.
No.
Yeah, yeah. If you're able to demonstrate it, then you've almost earned the right to have that level of arrogance. There's an interview on the BBC at the moment with Wayne Rooney talking to Luke Littler, and they're adamant that you have to be arrogant in sport, whether it's to intimidate the opposition, to make yourself, give yourself that confidence, whatever that looks like. But I think if you earn the right to say, well, I can demonstrate why I can talk about these things, then it's difficult to argue against, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got to manage it very carefully. I think also that does come with age, with me certainly, but it's learning how people will react to that. I think in elite sport it's great to have it, but once you're not the elite athlete, you've got to manage where your arrogance lies.
Self-awareness,
self-awareness. That's
it does come with age. You're right. I know I'm more comfortable as me than I was, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago. And I think you just sort of grow into yourself and accept what you're good at, accept what you're not good at, and work out which rough edges you can, smooth off, and which ones you just have to accept and try and work around, and try not to be as much of a dick as you can be sometimes. Yeah. I don't mean you. Sorry, I didn't mean you specifically there, Ross.
Just you're bang on. It's like we've known each other our whole lives.
It is rather, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, look, after timeout was a real success for me, but I got married, and my wife, I think I could have twisted her arm in the end, but when you're sort of making somebody do something they don't really want to do, and Dubai wasn't calling her particularly. Although, as a slight side story, my wife and I grew up in Dubai. Her dad works in Shell. My dad was a civil engineer, worked on the dry dock. We went to the same primary school, went to Dubai English speaking school.
Did you know her back then?
No, I met her at a party showing off, and I said, I grew up in Dubai, and she was like, well, me too. And I was like, no, I'm talking about proper Dubai, back in the day. And she was like, me too. And I went, no, I went to school there. She was like, me too. So, we'd grown up in the same place. And our parents actually didn't know each other, but they knew all of the same circle of friends in them. But I couldn't get her to go. Yeah, it wasn't a dry eye at the wedding speech.
I'm filling up. Circles Manchester exists to make networking Greater Manchester simple, fast and effective. We know how time-consuming it can be to find quality events. It's messy, overwhelming and anything but personalised. That's why they built Circles Manchester, a smarter way to discover and plan your networking. Find out more and join today at circlesmcr.co.uk. So it's Alex, your wife, isn't it?
Alex.
Yeah, I thought it was. So Alex wanted to come back home.
She wasn't out there, so I went out by myself. So we were making it work. My dad was still out there, so I was staying with him and coming back. I'd fly back every other week, and she'd come out every other week. We made it work, but it would have only fully worked if she had done the whole move, especially after we got married. I got married quite quickly after being there. So back I came. And the publishing landscape was very, very different.
So when we're now 2015, something like that?
Probably a bit before. So 2012 perhaps. Yeah. But round about then. And I thought the one thing I've never done is work agency side. dealt with agencies a lot, seen agencies a lot. Was still very impressed. We were working with an agency at the time. I came back and I was working with, it was called Accelerated Intelligence at the time, but what are they called now? I can't remember. We did some really fun stuff. We pitched for them on 1007.com, for example, and we built the James Bond website. And
Nice.
we did the 50 years of Bond.
There, lads.
It was amazing.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Good,
I too like Odd Job. Yeah. We did a lot.
You can sod off.
So, but that was really good. But it was a short period of time, a lot of fun. But then I was looking at agencies, and I thought, if we're going to evolve now, that seems to be an area of growth. So I went into the agency world. Worked at a company called PMK BNC, which very big, sort of one of the top 5 Hollywood representation agencies at the time. I think they've now merged into something else. And we worked a lot with Diageo, the drinks manufacturers. So we were part of many agencies who were on the launch sort of team of David Beckham's Hay Club whiskey. And
what were you doing there? What was your role?
So I ran the social team so there were 2 parts of us at the London office. One did the press, and so managed all of the comms on a global scale of Hay Club, and we did the social content. So we were doing the advertising, we were doing the awareness campaigns around it, the always on kind of content. And then Hay Club did a lot of really fantastic initiatives. So they turned the Arch in London into a big Hay Club. Beckham was there, and then his friend Tom Cruise turned up, of course.
Of course he did, yeah. Very cool. Oh, I happened to be passing. Did you?
Yeah,
that's nice of you.
Well, actually, he did happen to be passing.
Oh.
So it was just kind of when you're doing stuff with big names.
Yeah.
Anyone could knock at the door.
So, so how do you go from journalist, editor, the big picture brand of the magazine guy, to work in socials, an agency helping launch whiskey? There's still a leap there.
It's not as big as a leap as you might imagine, definitely on paper, but in reality, especially with social's always on. Okay, and a single post by itself is not going to create advocacy, and it's not going to resonate with people. You might look at it, but you're not going to come back, or
it's
to have an
broadcasting rather than communicating.
Exactly that. So to have always on social is telling a story. All right, yeah. It's identifying an audience, it's building an audience, it's super serving an audience with content that they're interested in. And in fairness, that's no different to running time out to doing socials. So I'm trying to think what happened after that. So we did that. That was a tremendous learning curve for me, because I'd never worked in an agency, and agencies, they're their own tribe, they're their own nuances, they've got their own way of doing things. So for me it was great. But I really was out of my comfort zone. I was like,
But I get that impression that's what you like, though. When you get
to a keep moving.
You've got to move on.
Go learn something new. I didn't know anything about agencies, so off we go. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've missed some stuff out, but anyway, after that,
we're getting old now, Ross. No worries.
Yeah. So I've gone from a monthly editor to a weekly editor to going out to Dubai and kind of taking all of that experience to take something that's really in a bit of trouble and turn it into a really good success story, to come back to work on digital publishing, and then take all of that and go into agency land and start working on social and digital within an agency kind of parameters and confines, because it is a very different world in terms of what you're doing. And then from there, I got a job in Manchester with The Sportsman, which was part of Betfred.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went up there, and that was another challenge, because I couldn't get Alex to move to Dubai. I was thinking, well, Manchester's not that far away, but no, she was very much. I'm staying here. You can run around the world doing everything you want, but I'm not moving.
Tea will be on the table at 7 if you're home. Yeah,
that's it. Dinner's in the docks. So I moved up to Manchester and I'd stay there for a week and then come home at the weekends. The Sportsman. What can I say?
It's an interesting one because, by your own definition, you're not particularly sporty.
Zero. What the Sportsman had, which was at a time when, because it's owned by Fred Dunn, it's owned by Betfred.
Yeah.
And it was very much at that time being used as a conduit for gambling, so you get your eyeballs, talk about the stuff. What they were looking for was a way of publishing, ring fencing something off of value that wasn't touched by gambling. Because at the time there was a lot of talk about advertising, different rules, how things were going to be affected. And so there was this thinking, let's take the Sportsman and make it something where it washes its own face with old school kind of, brand commercial prospects, rather than bringing people in and getting them to click on the link and bet, which is fine, but not what they asked us to do. So I was there a year and a half. COVID eventually brought an end to it. It's very hard to do stuff, but the team were fantastic. And we were shortlisted for the Independent Publishers PPA within the first 12 months. We had some great people writing for us. Bill Hilton, my very first editor, who'd gone on to be the editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone. He did our books page. He did all the sports stuff. Phil Hilton, who was the editorial director at Stylist, he did the fashion and the fashion sports. Jenny Gow does the F1. She did our motoring section. So we it was really building traction, and it would have been a tremendous success had COVID not struck us all down.
This sounds like the thing you miss most of all the jobs you've had. Is that because it's almost the potential that wasn't?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't think I miss it the most because I was going up to. There was a lot of travel.
Oh yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of love from the existing team when I got there. It's his budget. Danny Dyer telling us what to do. Northern people love that. They absolutely love it. You swat in about what you're doing is wrong, and I know all the answers.
That's racism, you know that, don't you?
No, I'm saying it. I did it. It was not an easy kind of win, and I wasn't right on everything. So sometimes, they were very right. I had to learn a lot about culture and nuances again. I had to. It is a different way.
Sorry, you didn't say any of this about Dubai. You moved to Manchester. You
had
to learn the culture.
When I moved to Dubai, they were a bit like, "Oh, someone from the UK's come. They're going to know lots." When I moved up to Manchester, they were
bloody Southerners coming up here, telling us what to do.
Yeah. Very much. It's like you prove yourself. And so, which is great. It's lovely, and it brings your A game. It really does, and it helped. Sportsman be as good as it was. But yes, if I would love to have seen that finish the arc. I would love to have. Seen
sailed
all
off into the sunset.
So much
and
hard work. Yeah. It was just getting traction. We were just bringing in the names, and then that was it. And during COVID, Betfred took it in house, and it went back to sort of gambling. And I think now it still exists, but I think it's a YouTube channel, which is great. That's fantastic. See it evolve. But
you've got into film now, haven't you? I mean, was that the next move?
What was my next move? So after that, I came back.
You need a CV in front of you or something, don't you?
I think this is probably towards this is the trouble. You're doing it so long.
It's a job interview, it feels like.
I'm on the fence at the moment, Chris. What are you thinking? Two Rossies could.
When can you start?
I've just had a thought. If I'm ill for a few weeks, I want to go on holiday. It's called Brown and Marsh. I know who the standing host can be.
Perfect standing, yeah.
It would be seamless. They wouldn't even notice the difference.
Oh, I mean, Stick a pair of glasses on you.
I'd be like, Ross has been watching a few episodes of The Firm recently, hasn't
Oh,
he? This is the way he's talking. Yeah, so the final bit of this long, God, if anyone's still listening, thank you. But this long story.
You're not the longest episode yet, just so you know.
I took all of that and I was like, right, now I'd sort of done a bit of everything. And I went to Redwood in London, and that was working on Ferrari and Mazda. And that was something I'd always wanted to do, which was really get into automotive. Cars are my passion. And
what do you drive?
I've got a replica AC Cobra sitting in the garage, which takes up all my time and work and effort and money. And so I really wanted to get into automotive, which I have done. And
just out of interest, a lot of guys I know about our age, and they've got into golf, they all have a spare credit card that the wife doesn't know about, so they can buy clubs. Is there a spare credit card that Alex doesn't know about?
I don't want to sound like I've got the golden ticket, but it's the wife's credit card.
Perfect.
You live in the dream, mate. Living in dream.
If I'm out the house and minding my own business and not driving her mad, she's quite happy. So
fair enough.
But yeah, so that was that, and that was right back to where we started. That's making big brand films for and lots of money and out chase cars and film crews and making stories and the whole shebang.
Yeah, sounds very glamorous, and no, I've loved hearing these tales, even as an FHM fanboy. But what sort of things you've not talked about? What you would have done differently, or what even looking back, any? I don't want to talk about regrets, but is there anything that you think maybe if I'd have done that slightly differently, or a younger version of Ross comes about, and you could give him one piece of advice, what would that sort of look like?
If I could meet young Ross Brown, I'd probably say pay a bit more attention. Don't take this stuff for granted. I think when I was a young man, I took a lot of it for granted. I was putting the work in, I was getting it done. But as I say, when it just keeps working, you can become a little bit blasé. And I think there are probably times where I could have definitely done with being a bit more useful and a bit more present, and a bit less of a, I don't know it all, let's say, if I'm going to put myself down a bit. But just a couple of times in my career where it was like you probably could have learned a little bit more if you just slowed down, paid attention, and put everything into action. I think so. And I tell you one other thing, and this is really important the older I get, is being yourself. I think we go to places and you take on, especially when you work for big corporations, you can try and be who you think people, especially above you, want you to be.
Yeah.
And it can be very successful, if you know the kind of person they're looking for in that job. And you can start to go, that's the kind of person I am, and you can get that job, and I've done that. But you can you do that enough times, start to lose track of who you are and the magic that you had in the very first place, and I think that's something that it's very easy to stop doing, especially if it works. Be yourself, we're all individuals.
Everybody else is taken. Be yourself.
Yeah. Be yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. I mean, you've given a few good nuggets there. Be yourself, be useful, it's all these things that I suppose...
Not gold dust, is it? But it's hard.
Nuggets are all we want, mate. A couple of nuggets and we're happy.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I think it's things like that you want to talk to children about, or people that are going into the first jobs, or leaving university. It's things like that. You're absolutely right. Be useful. Just make sure you're seen as contributing. And some of the things I mentioned before about being enthusiastic and being confident and being positive, but being useful, you make yourself more difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, 100%, and easier to consider for the next roll up. It's exactly that. Exactly that.
Because I've got going around my head, because such is my way. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Thanks, Whitney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
very good.
Words to live by.
You're teeing this up for famous people I've met, haven't you? That's where you're headed.
Well, to be honest, it seems to be affecting Chris more than me because the thing is, because I'm a couple of years older than you, so I don't think I was reading it when you were editor. That's why I was asking who's editor when you started, because I think I'd probably stopped reading because there's only 2 years between us. But you were what, 26, 27 when you started editing?
But when I started editing, 29, 20.
So I'd gone 30.
Right, okay.
31 and was a dad. So you might occasionally flick through it in W.H. Smith's, but I'd probably moved on to buying Q every month.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Not GQ, Q, which is a great magazine and sorely missed.
Oh, it was just over the corridor from us, another EMAP.
Of course it was, yeah.
Q Awards, yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't... Even though we've never met until... Oh, we haven't told the story about how we met yet. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, do you want to tell that before I do my little bit? How do we meet, Ross?
Oh, what a great question. How did we meet? It was many moons ago. It was when MySpace came out, and I was just trying different things with MySpace. I'll give you the first thing. First thing, I had a dream to create a page on MySpace, which was a mecca for curry restaurants in London, where I was going to review them all. But the thing was, I didn't want anyone
mecca for curry. A mecca. Yeah. Do you think you thought that one through?
Well, I suppose it all works out.
Yeah.
But I didn't want. I don't know. I was just trying to be a bit subservient. I didn't want anyone to follow the page. I wanted people to stumble across it. You know, like you open the door and there's this world of reviews and everything. And then, whilst I was doing that, I was like, wouldn't it be wonderful to talk to all the Ross Browns, you know, in the world? So I started sending out invites, and I think we had a page, didn't I? A set of page, the Ross Brown page.
I still think it was Facebook. It was
we had a page, and I just invited all these people, and in the end,
we searched the world for Ross Browns, and we found each other.
It was very Dave Gorman. It'd already been done and far better at an elite level. And
yeah, I think I've talked about the Dave Gorman book in the past, but the people who don't know, Dave Gorman and his then flatmate Danny Wallace, who's a radio DJ and occasional TV presenter. Dave Gorman made a passing comment about, you know, there must be lots of people in the world called Dave Gorman, and Danny Wallace went, "No, there isn't." He said, "Well, there's the footballer up in Scotland." He went, "Well, I bet you can't find a load of them." How many precisely? As many as there are in a deck of cards, including the Jokers. And the entire book that they co-wrote is about them travelling the world to meet Dave Gormans.
Yeah.
And they do. They meet 54 Dave Gormans. And weirdly, one of them actually turns up in Dave Gorman's next book, when he does the Google Whack adventure, who's an artist an American guy living in the south of France. Does that sound about right, Ross?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I remember these weird facts. But yeah, that's how we met. But today is the first time we've spoken. So whether it was Facebook or MySpace, it is 20 years ago, I reckon, easy.
Oh, easy. Yeah, it was one of those platforms. We'll have to agree to disagree on what the platform was. But
I'm not going to fall out with you over it. Let's be honest.
Dave Gorman travelled the world to see people, and you and I caught up 20 years later on a podcast. But Danny Wallace was actually... he was a shortlist favourite. He was he wrote for shortlist. He had a regular column, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it all entwines.
You know who he is, Chris? He also did his own show where he declared that his flat was its own standalone country, and he got people every week to vote on, you know, the laws and, you know, that kind of thing. I think the country was called Lovely. And it was a TV show on BBC Two. But yeah, I know I was getting to. So yes, by the time you and I were in contact, I think you'd left FHM. Or had you? Anyway, whatever. And so yeah, I think I was too old. I was too old by that point to be reading FHM. You were going for the youngsters, like young Christopher, who was only 8 years younger, but that makes a hell of a difference of that.
Oh. It's a huge demographic switch there. So yeah,
we now tick the next box, Chris. You know, when you tick the boxes about what age you are, we're the next box up.
You have to spin that wheel a bit further.
We have to spin that wheel.
Spinning that wheel.
1970. But you were born in 1980. We're going back to 72 and 74.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's little things you realise. I, for example, have not been to a hairdresser's this century. But it's like,
I'm not quite. No, I've not for at least 10 years anyway.
I'm just envious of the amount of money you've saved there. So don't.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We're envious of your quiff. See, you've got enough hair for the pair of us. Just saying.
Sure.
You could share, Chris.
Go on then, as an FHM fanboy, go on, tell us something interesting about your FHM days. Someone interesting that you met, or the most famous person, or was that part of your involvement?
Now remember, the rules of libel mean we will get sued. So
yeah, it's
as publishers will get done. So be careful.
There were sort of some very bizarre moments.
Gail Porter's arse being projected on the Parliament.
Of course. Yeah,
there was that.
Yeah.
None of us knew anything about it because it was such a secret, because they knew that if they told even one of us, it would be out in seconds. So, we found out the same as everybody else. It was there were random moments, I suppose. The trouble we'd always get into arguments in the office. So Hong Kong Fooey, you may or may not remember, the cartoon character. And he was there.
Oh no, he doesn't. We actually joked about this a couple of weeks ago. Somebody referenced, what was her name? The telephone operator
from Hong Kong. I don't remember.
But somebody referenced it, and she's a bit older than me. It's when we were talking to Bex, and Chris is going, "No idea what the bloody hell you talk. Hong Kong what? No."
Well, we decided to see whether it was possible to get changed into a martial arts outfit in a locker as he did, and I just always remember the chap just coming out, popping out with his head just as Ginger Spice is walking past with her publicist. The boss trying to put on a really, really good show, and he pops like, "You can do it! You can do it!"
Thing is, I do picture the offices because I was a business journalist, so quite staid and not boring, but not quite FHM blah blah blah. And I did joke earlier about you had to leave because of your liver. I do think that if you'd been over the road at Loaded, you'd have had to leave because your nose had caved in or something like that. Because I get the impression they really knew how to party at Loaded.
Well, it was a very different approach to publishing, and I think that's what made FHM so refreshing and why it became so big in the early days, because FHM's whole thing was about something every person could do. It wasn't about the journalist doing something crazy in Cannes and getting into trouble, which was great fun, and I love Loaded. But ours was very much like the 100 Great Adventures, and that was the adventures you could go on. And if we did any of those things, we had to go and do it as if it was the reader doing it, rather than as a well-paid journo.
Well, was Hunter S. Thompson doing it?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there was a very much reality grounding. Reality grounding is not even a thing. It's grounded in reality. Put your words in the
We
right
knew what
order.
you meant, Ross.
I've been talking so long now, I'm starting to lose track. But I think that's so bizarrely, our office wasn't full of crazy, Hunter S. Thompson kind of folk, all staying up all night, going bonkers. It was very much normal lads who kind of epitomised the reader more than anything else. Yeah. And it was
you were the reader, whereas Loaded was the, in quotes, aspirational.
That's it.
Crazy motherfucker, basically.
So it was frowned upon in our office if you were too bonkers or you going around being a bit crazy. It was very much we got a job to do. That doesn't mean we didn't party hard and have a lot of fun.
No, sure.
It was very much. There was a very strong work ethic, which was driven down by the editors at the time. It was. Right. Be at your desk on time, work late. We worked silly hours, and get the mag, or the book as we call it back in the day, comes first. Nothing else, You can
tell certain age of journalists when we didn't do a magazine, we did a book every month.
Yeah.
And we just sound like pretentious wankers when we say it as well.
I interviewed, I can never remember the name of Samuel L. Jackson.
I can't remember his name. Let me a moment. Just one of the most famous actors in the world. Oh, yes, there he is.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Sorry, just a minute. You dropped this.
Yeah.
It's a name.
Oh, you asked me to give you some names.
We did ask.
I didn't.
I did ask.
Fanboy
I've been
did.
hijacked.
I did
I'm
ask.
desperately racking my brain for a few anecdotes.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Sorry,
Love
Sam
it.
Jackson, yeah.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson. They took me into the room where I was interviewing him, and he wasn't there. And I waited, just sat there like a little lad waiting to meet a huge Hollywood A-list. Anyway, finally this voice goes, "Are we doing this interview or what?" And he'd hurt his back and he was lying behind the sofa. But no one had actually told me that on the way in. So he's staring at the ceiling. I'm on the other side just picking my nose, looking out the window. Wasted a good 15 minutes of the interview.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, brilliant.
Those are the two safe for work things coming out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably best. Like I say, yeah. So go on. One piece of advice you've sort of given, I suppose, is the make yourself useful. Was there any time where you didn't and you wish you had done, and there's an opportunity you think you missed out on, or something like that? The lessons learned.
No, I think we sort of talked about it a bit before. I think that was it. Just be more present. Just pay more attention. I don't really have any regrets. There's certainly, if I did stuff differently,
you won't be here now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I think there were probably times where I imagine other people wished I'd done stuff differently, and there's stuff definitely where I was either enjoying myself too much, or maybe even sometimes worrying about stuff too much. And so long as as long as you've got a vision and you've got a plan, and you're confident you can execute it, it will be all right.
Yeah.
Market force, you cannot legislate. I have this big thing where it's like, don't create your own soap opera, right? Which is kind of my life mandate for people, which is very often we sit and we think we're going to do something. Let's say you're going to write a book or whatever it is. And then you start going, wow, I'll write it. And then so-and-so won't like it. And it'll be rejected by someone. And you create an entire world through the door in which you refuse to step. And it's like, don't create your own soap opera. It doesn't matter what it is. Driving to the show, it doesn't matter. You're not in charge of what the world will throw at you on a day-to-day basis or how things will go. So, push on. Have your plan, have your vision, and push on. And don't make things harder than they already are.
Because they're going to be hard. So stop creating. Stop.
And we all do it.
Issues. We do. Yeah. I often say, stop worrying about things that you can't influence.
Yeah.
Get on with it. And if something comes your way, deal with it. Don't worry about what might happen. Don't do 200 chess moves ahead. Just flip on with it.
Yeah. And creative people, by definition, tend to create real disaster worlds for themselves, As I'm sure we all know, it's
kind of in the job description.
It's very easy. And then you suddenly stop and you go, how much of this is real? How much have I just created as the worst case scenario? Yeah. So to your point, not worrying as much and would probably be what I would tell young Ross.
Yeah. Great. Love that. Listen, I've really enjoyed the chat and hearing all about your very glamorous and very interesting background, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. But so thank you, Ross, and thank you, other Ross, whichever one you want to take as
I think I'm the eldest, so I think I'm Ross, and he's the other Ross.
Ross the elder.
Yeah, Ross the elder. Oh,
elder Ross.
I think I like this elder, and Ross the younger. Yeah.
Ross the younger.
Yeah. But we're both older than him. It just doesn't sound right. I keep forgetting to do this, which is if you want to subscribe to the podcast and make sure you get it every week, every Thursday when we release it, brownandmarsh.co.uk, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and by the time you hear this, YouTube as well, where there'll be the full videos with, a picture in the background, but it's a different way of listening to it if that's your thing. Don't know what else to say really, apart from Ross. Really enjoyed this, mate. It's been 20 years to actually get around to speaking to each other. I'm sure we'll do it again at some point because I've enjoyed getting to chat. And it's weird how many similarities in sort of... You've gone the sexy route to what I do. And I've gone the more brown bread, B2B, working class Yorkshire version of, but we've ended up in the broadly the same places. I notice you don't have a load of Doctor Who paraphernalia around you, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. And it's not, is it? Okay. But I've really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you very, very much for agreeing to do this.
Anytime.
Well, you never know. We might get you on again. Christopher, any final words?
I was just going to ask Ross, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way of trying to contact you?
Do you want people to get in touch with you?
If you want people.
You can email me. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. rossbrown2@mac.com.
I did find that funny. I'm not giving mine out because I'll get horrible messages.
You're Ross Brown one.
Yeah, no, I'm not Ross Brown one. I'm just Ross Brown. I won't mind. I worked at Bloody Apple at the time, but no, I didn't get Ross Brown one. But yes, mine is very similar. Strange that. Really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to know more about marketing, about podcasts, those kind of things, rossbrown.co.uk.
And business development, freelance services, which is what I specialise in, which I offer at agentsof.co.uk.
Until next week, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Brown and Marsh is a Northern Pods production. Find out more at northernpods.com.